Resuming debate, reprise de débat, the honourable member for Edmonton Manning.
Here. Madam Speaker, before I begin, I would like to take the time to thank Canada's Ambassador for Religious Freedom, Dr. Andrew Bennett, for his 3 years of devoted service, not just to Canada, but to those around the world. He has worked tirelessly to promote Canadian values and to speak out against injustice. He has raised the issue of religious freedom across the country, helping Canadians to better understand an issue that thankfully does not touch us directly, but which is all too real for millions around the world. Madam Speaker, I came to Canada from an area of the world where religion is much more at the forefront than it is in our society here, an area where wars have been fought for centuries in the name of religion. So perhaps I have a different perspective on the issue of religious freedom and its importance than many honourable members. I came to Canada from a region where every religious group experienced persecution throughout the history. It has been taken a different shape or form, but at the end of the day, it's an attempt to take a people's freedom and further their life and their existence. In Canada, when we talk about religious freedom, we are talking about an abstract. And in this House, we are in agreement that such freedom is a good thing. Where we disagree is whether it should be at the forefront of Canadian foreign policy. Yet, in many areas of the world, the idea of religious freedom is literally a matter of life and death. Places where changing from one faith to another carries with a death sentence. We all need to be aware that we are discussing today is not an academic exercise. It is not about the different political visions. It is about a Canadian response to situations in which people are dying, situations in which Canada may be able to help. Freedom of religion is considered to be a basic human right, found in Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which states, everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. The rights includes freedom to change his or her religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in community with others, and in public or private, to manifest his or her religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance. The UDHR is a fundamental global human rights document. However, Madam Speaker, despite the general acceptance of freedom in religion and of religion as a universal right by member countries of the United Nations, restrictions on religious freedoms has been increasing. Canadians see themselves as people with a strong tradition of standing up for rights of others. With the creation of the Office of Religious Freedom in February 2013, the Government of Canada showed that it considers freedom of religion to be not only a basic human right, but a cornerstone of Canadian foreign policy. We Canadians are indeed fortunate to live in a country in which democratic freedoms, including freedom of religion, are taken for granted. We do not face the realities of other countries where religious minorities are regularly persecuted. Many of the Syrian refugees who have come to Canada in the past few months have suffered religious persecution. Canadians are perhaps less insular than we were once, more aware of what is going on beyond our borders. Addressing religious persecution in other countries is being seen, perhaps for the first time, as a moral obligation. Dr. Andrew Bennett, Canada's first ambassador for religious freedom, says we define freedom and human rights positively, with the understanding that in that understanding of freedom there is the opportunity to dissent. There's the opportunity to disagree with that, and also with rights and freedoms, they are not always going to be obsolete. As Dr. Bennett sees it, for Canada to become involved in advocating for freedom of religions in other countries and to exert pressure, when necessary, on other nations to improve their human rights record flows from Canadians' values and understanding of human rights. He feels Canada has the opportunity to use its position in the world and its international reputation to work with other countries for the overall improvement of religious freedom. Dr. Bennett's voice is not alone. Speaking in this House about religious freedom, the member of Lambton Kent Middlesex said, "Canada has an important role to play globally, a role from which we will not shy away. Canada is a country of tolerance, acceptance, peace, and security, and we are also a pluralistic society. Our diversity gives us a unique perspective on the world. Canada has long been building the conditions in which people live with the dignity others wish for, built around our fundamental values of freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law." This is not a partisan issue. The member of Scarborough-Guildwood, in discussing an earlier motion in this House, said that, quote, "We should continue to recognize the importance of faith as a core component of many people's life, not only in our society, but in the broader foreign policy context." That motion, Madam Speaker, was adopted unanimously by this House. It read, in part, that, in the opinion of the House, the government should continue to recognize as a part of Canadian foreign policy that everyone has the right to freedom of religion and conscience, including the freedom to change religion or belief, and the freedom to manifest religion or belief in teaching, worship, practice, and observance. That all acts of violence against religious groups should be condemned. The Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights be supported. That the special value of official statements made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs denouncing violations of religious freedom around the world be promoted. That Canada's commitment to the creation of an Office of Religious Freedom should be used to help protect religious minorities and promote the pluralism that it is essential to the development of free and democratic societies. Madam Speaker, all parties supported the Office of Religious Freedom then. Why do they not do so now? Apparently, this government intends to do away with the office, perhaps as early as tomorrow's budget. We stand up for rights at home, Madam Speaker. Why would we not do the same in countries or situations where there's evidence of systematic violations of the right of freedom of religion, violations that could include violence, hatred, and systematic discrimination? There are those who say that religious rights should not be separated from our understanding of our other rights, that there is no need for a separate office to promote religious freedom. I wish that was true, Madam Speaker, but regrettably, it is not. There are millions of people worldwide being persecuted because of their religious beliefs. Religious rights are indeed in a separate category in much of the world, a category too often ignored by Canada in the past. Dr. Bennett says the role of the Office of Religious Freedom is to advance, promote, and defend the freedom of religion in the world, in countries where it is under threat, in countries where typically many freedoms are being violated. Madam Speaker, the Charters of Right of Freedoms guarantees all Canadians the right of freedom of conscience and religion. It is our first freedom. It is also a freedom not enjoyed in many parts of the world. If we believe so strongly in this freedom, why are not we willing to promote its benefits to the nations? Why not an office for religion freedom? Because the freedom of religion is a human rights issue. The mandate of this office is really a human rights mandate. In advancing freedom of religion, we are also advocating for human rights. For the Canadian government to return to the mindset in which religion is ignored, or as best, a subset of number of variables, to ignore the reality of the influence of religions in global society. The Office of Religious Freedom is not the pushing of religion to the forefront of foreign policy, but an acknowledgement that religion is an important consideration in public life, both domestically and internationally. Thank you.
Questions and